Hello and welcome to the second video in the 5-minute poker coaching series. This video comes to us from one of my listeners, or the hands come from one of my listeners who played only 8,600 hands, but even with a small sample size, I'm able to find a key leak that he needs to plug. Let's get to it. Alrighty, so I had 8,600 hands submitted to me by Yoga Madison. What a brave soul for opening up their database this way. Over these 8,600 hands, Yoga Madison lost $134 and has a negative 18 big blinds per 100 hands win rate. When I started to go through these stats, something stood out to me right away. This is what it is. I took a look at PFR by position and look at that. EP 21%, 20, 23, 24%. And then 7 in both blinds. This tells me that Yoga Madison is not too positionally aware. Your PFR should increase as position gets later. Maybe 12% in the EP, 15% in the MP, 22% in the cutoff, and then like 30% or even higher on the button, right? As position gets later, you should open up your range because you have less players left to act after you. And that is where Yoga Madison's leak is. I lose money when I play too many hands from the early position. That's the leak here. So how can we kind of analyze and look into this a little bit further? I utilize the Hold'em Hand Range Visualizer to see what kind of hands they're playing in the EP. And this is how you do it right here. You select Raise First In and Early. So you first go to Report, Hold'em Hand Range Visualizer. We want to look at Raise First In. These are all the different heat map statistics. Every hand that comes out highlighted in green is a hand that you raised first in or cold called or pre-flop 3-bet. We want to deselect all the other positions so that we're left with only the EP. Now, this isn't as wide and as bad as it could be, but if I would have told you, without even seeing this, if I would have told you, hey, Bob, I open raise sometimes in the early position with 10-3 offsuit, 8-3 offsuit, 4-3 suited, 4-3 offsuit, ace-8 offsuit, what would you say? You'd probably tell me, Sky, you've got to tighten up those ranges. You'll never be profitable opening up these hands. It's too easy for people to call you in position or 3-bet you and just exploit your overly loose early position range, right? And I would have to agree with you on that. And I agree with me when I say that right now. So yeah, obviously that is the first thing that Yoga Madison has to address. And we have that here. I will only open raise from the EP with hands inside my EP range. And let me show you what I recommend for an EP range here. An EP range is just a 12% range and very strong hands, some speculative hands, small pocket pairs, suited connectors, baby suited aces, but this is the kind of range that's going to keep you really tight and narrow. A lot of this stuff is easy to fold against 3-bets, and if players call you, you have hands, all those suited hands, all those pairs, they can flop something really darn good, right? So this is a good tight range. If you want to expand your range in the MP, which I use the 12% in the EP and the MP, if you want to, you could go a little bit wider, something like this. All the suited Broadways are added to it, and then King, Queen offsuit, Ace, Jack offsuit as well. That takes you up to 15%. You're still going to be nice and tight so that you have a stronger range to deal with 3-bets and callers. And you're not open raising that often, so they're not going to think you're getting out of line and try to attack you with 3-bets all that much. So the second thing, as I was going through some of these hands, I noticed a little weakness here. Let me show you what it is. This is a sticky note that Yoga Madison should use for their next play sessions. I will not telegraph my hand strength with my bet size. Let me show you the hands that kind of clued me into this. 10-3 offsuit under the gun. A min raise, interesting. A 7 offsuit, kind of a weak hand under the gun. A min raise, interesting. But what about the lovely pocket aces under the gun? 3 big blinds. Oh, you've increased it with a stronger hand. And slightly less strong, but a really good hand, pocket kings. 3 big blinds once again. So it seems that occasionally Yoga Madison decides to open smaller with weaker hands and then larger with the bigger hands. Maybe some of the weakest opponents at the table won't notice this, but your regular players, your lags and your tags, those trying to exploit you, they're going to notice it, and they're going to stay away from your bigger raises or potentially call with some of those speculative hands we were talking about, 7-6 suited small pocket pairs, in order to crack your aces and your kings. So Yoga Madison, what can you do to work on this leak? Well, over your next 5 play sessions, utilize ranges that keep you tight in the EP and the MP. Do not exceed a 12% range in the EP or 15% in the MP, and I recommend 12 in both. The weakest players lose money because they get to the flop too frequently with weak hands and out of position. Limit your exposure to this by open raising tighter in these positions. And of course, tag any related hand or questionable hand too. And the reason for that is so that you can review your tagged and questionable hands in the following day's study session. And I often do this session review from the prior day as my 10 or 15 minute warm up before I start my next day's session. Alrighty, y'all, thank you so much for watching, and Yoga Madison, thank you for giving me this database. I hope everybody learned a little bit of something from this, and you take some action on the felt to plug this leak if you have it. If you want specific poker coaching from me, just go to smartpokerstudy.com/coaching.